Alrighty, so well, something spectacular is happening apparently. I have been playing this game quite a bit recently. More recently, or well, maybe not super recently, but I played through this game a little while ago, and it really like sort of, I don't know, captured my attention. I remember seeing it on the Steam, store, and it sort of just looked like a simulator game, and I was like, oh wow, like this looks kind of cool. You just kind of break down ships. Just a fun time in general, and I was like, I'm pretty interested in that because, obviously simulator games and stuff like that have gotten pretty popular in the last little, bit, and so I was pretty interested to see, how it would play and everything, and it turns out that the game has a pretty interesting sort of, story that goes along with it as well that I found really fun and interesting. But the basic concept of the game is that you start at this company, they put you in like $1.5 billion in debt or something because they have a way to revive people if they die on the job, kind of, and that is what mainly takes up a huge amount of your debt. But you basically come in and you're a shipbreaker, and you work in space. There's no gravity. There's all kinds of different ship variants and stuff like that, and the basic goal is that you're just scrapping these things. So I can take this piece off up here. It goes to the barge, which is the green area, so I send it into the green area. As you sort of break different things down, I have a cutter or a laser. OBS is not working super well with this game, unfortunately. It's lagging a little bit, which the game is updated too, so it could be a performance issue. I'm not totally sure there. But there's different kinds of pieces that go into different spots. If it's bad, and it goes into the furnace. If it's, recyclable kinda, it'll go into the processor, which I don't think, I'm not gonna be able to take this piece off completely just yet. But you can even, you go inside the ship and sort of salvage, I don't know, you just completely break the ship down until it's nothing left. Basically, and then I don't know, it's such a simple gameplay loop, and it sort of builds upon that, and it adds new mechanics. There's reactors, there's different pressurized zones and stuff like that. I can hit T and it'll show me the layout of the ship. I can go to the systems of the ship. This is the engines and everything. You can go to the objects, which is just all of the regular pieces and stuff like that broken down for you. I don't know, it's just got a lot of depth to it that I wasn't really expecting. And just as you progress and sort of rank up and everything, they're like, oh well, you're good enough to take on this class of ship now, or you now are able to mess with these rank 2 reactors, or whatever the case may be. But it sort of just breaks down, and I don't know, it just adds so much cool stuff that you sort of have to deal with each run. It can get pretty frustrating, I will be honest. Sometimes you're like, oh, I forgot, I accidentally turned the power off. I removed the power generator before I was supposed to, and now I can't flip the lever to turn the the thruster. I can't pull the lever to eject the thruster from the main thing. So now you have to cut the line for the thruster, and it's it's creating more scrap or messing things up that you should have been able to scrap and process, or whatever the case may be. So I don't know, it's really cool to me because it's space, and I like space stuff. Okay, I accidentally opened up this area that was unpressurized, so it can send you flying out of there if you're right in the way of it, or there's different things. So obviously if I was to shoot my laser cutter at the fuel tank there, it would explode. Or if you mess with the generator on the ship, and you're unprepared, or you don't dismantle it correctly at the right time, or pull the fuses out right, it'll electrocute you, or whatever the case may be. I don't know, there's just all kinds of really fun parts to it that I found fascinating to sort of work on and progress and figure out how it worked and how to break it down correctly, and it all adds up in the end, so that way you've got a lot of stuff on your plate, and it continues to add new stuff. I'm not even the max rank. I think the max rank is 40 or 50 or something like that, and I'm only 21. Maybe it's only 30. I can't remember exactly what it is, but there's just so much stuff that it continues to be like, oh hey, you just unlocked a new thing, or like new style of ship that you can break down, or whatever the case may be. There's like cargo ships and like transport ships that you can use or not use but break down. But I don't know, you just pick stuff up, throw it in the right bin, which is pretty simple in of itself. But on top of that, you also need to worry about like breaking down the ship correctly and stuff like that, so that way you don't lose money, because you can see at the top there's a bar, and there's 1 out of 5 little sort of milestones there. Once you reach those milestones, you get credits, which you can use to upgrade your gear, which is really, really nice, of course. And then as you upgrade your gear, it'll become obviously better. And if you you can see where it's starting to become a little red over there on the right. That is what I've already like messed up or ruined. And on some of the bigger ships, like, it's really easy to like, you got a lot of stuff to break down and mess with, so it's easy to screw it up pretty quickly, or like you could even blow up the reactor and destroy the entire ship basically, if you make the wrong kind of mistake, which will just end up costing you. It doesn't necessarily doesn't cost you anything. I'm sure it probably adds to your debt, or it subtracts money from your account, but you don't actually use money in the game. It's just like a metric that you sort of mess with for the story mode, I guess, more than likely. You really use upgrade points or whatever more than anything. So I don't know. It's just a neat game. You kind of go in, you break these little like cut points down and sort of separate pieces of the ship, and it's just, I don't know. It's a lot cooler than I was anticipating it to be. So we can actually open this right here. That's non-pressurized down there, so that probably was not great. This actually just ruptured a pipe, which is also not good. I need to turn the fuel off if I possibly can. Let's get into the inner workings of the ship. It is kind of disorienting sometimes because, obviously you can rotate your camera. You're in a 0G space, so you're literally just twirling around and moving your camera, and it's rotating you constantly and stuff, which can be very disorienting sometimes, but you kind of get used to it, and you kind of figure out how you need to sort of reorient yourself. Or when you're inside the ship, honestly, like I'll come out of the ship sometimes and I'm like, oh, I was actually completely a different direction than I anticipated I would be in, so that's always really, really fun. But yeah, you sort of like I said, you come in here, you remove different sorts of like attachments or whatever that hold the thing in place. If we can get this thing completely detached. I'm not sure exactly what it's holding onto. Maybe we're just hitting other pieces here, because I think it's separated, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it's just a big piece, so it's like running into other stuff. Oh, I forgot, it still has this like small like side piece, like wing piece. This is where like the thrusters and stuff like that are, because this is a weird class ship. But yeah, you can send pieces into the thing. As you can see, it's sort of breaking down now. You can come in and separate all of the pieces if you need to, which obviously at some point you're going to, because you're dismantling the entire ship. But yeah, I don't know. Sometimes there's not the greatest way to get through some things, so you'll have to end up just messing around. And I can just burn this entire wall off if I need to. And ideally, you would want to send this piece into the furnace instead of completely destroying it like that. But you can't always sort of get the entire amount of money that you need to. So you got to kind of compromise sometimes and figure out ways that you can sort of break the ship down. To save money somewhere else where, I don't know, different things happen, because it's cool. I don't know. It's hard for me to articulate words because this is such a unique game. Like I've played a couple of different kinds of simulator games and stuff like that in the past, but nothing really quite plays like this, which is fun. Something definitely interesting and unique. So here is the reactor. Once you unlodge it, it's basically like, oh, hey, that's really bad. It's going to blow up if the timer reaches down on it. So you have to have an escape route to be able to get it out of the ship and into the barge as soon as possible. And it's normally worth the most amount of money for the run, so you definitely want to make sure that you don't ruin that. And then, like, as you sort of level up Class 2 reactors, it has coolant that goes to it, and you have to make sure that the coolant is turned off, or, make sure that the power is disconnected or whatever first. And, like, I don't know, there's just a a lot of different stuff that sort of adds up, and you get the hang of it and everything. It's really cool. And there's even some really satisfying points in the story where you kind of have to go against the grain and do things that you normally wouldn't do. And I don't know, it was a really fun and enjoyable experience. I was really surprised at how much I actually liked playing the game. Like, even now, now that I'm completely finished with the story mode, I really don't have a whole lot of reason to play it other than just leveling up, which it doesn't. You would think that, oh, like who cares at that point? You've already finished the game. But the game is just, like, the gameplay loop in general, just breaking down ships and stuff like that, is actually just fun in of itself. So I don't mind playing the game at all. It is kind of weird though, if you play on different difficulties. Like, I'm playing on the normal difficulty, and you can notice at the very top there is a timer, and that is because there is a shift timer. So I have 15 minutes per shift to sort of like work on taking the ship apart, and then after that it sends me back to my crew quarters, and then I have to start a brand new day and then come back into it. I think that is probably the one thing that I was kind of like, why would they implement it like this, I guess? Like, I'm not a fan of being, I'd rather just tackle the whole thing and just save and quit whenever I feel like getting off. But I guess because of the story, it sort of helps signify that you're working for a company, and like there's actual, sort of story elements that sort of play into it, I guess. If you play on the very lowest difficulty, I don't think there is a ship timer. I'm pretty sure it's like completely relaxed mode, and you can just kind of take everything at your own pace, do whatever you want to do, which is, I think, maybe cool. I don't know. I've kind of gotten used to the shift timer at this point. It's also a really nice way for me to be like, oh, hey, I've done like 4 shifts in a row at this point. I probably should either like take a break from the game, because I've already been playing for like probably an hour at that point. It's really easy to get sucked in because you're like, oh, well, I just need to take this piece off. Like, I'm almost done with the ship. I just need to do like a couple of more things. Like, I don't know. It's really easy to sort of get, sidetracked or get carried away. It's a really fun, like, time sink sort of game. So I've really enjoyed it. I thought it was really fun. So I don't know. That's pretty much it. That's pretty much all I have to say. I know it's a lot of me just babbling and ranting about how the game is fun, but it really is, like, way better than I was anticipating it to be. And if you can get it, while it's on sale or something like that, I would completely 100% like tell you to do so, because it's become way more fun than I ever could have thought it would be. And the story and stuff was very, very interesting as well. So I guess that's pretty much it. I'm not going to sit through an entire ship or anything like that, but it is a fun game. So, yeah, I don't know. Get it. Either way, thank you guys so much for watching. See you later.